welcome back for another book review. Today we're talking about this one. So this is Celtic Witchcraft. Modern Witchcraft meets Celtic Ways. It's one of the Pagan Portal little teeny tiny pamphlet books. And from what I can find, the author's name is supposed to be pronounced Mabh Savage. Because again, it's Irish, so the B and the H are supposed to make a V sound from what I can find. So this book is mostly the author's interpretation of what Celtic witchcraft could be, what it is for her. And it's filled with various, also if you can hear construction in the background, just as a little side tangent, they are absolutely demolishing behind my house, so that's epically fun. They start pulling in stuff at like 6 in the morning, and it's just all day, all day. It's great. I'm not peeved at all that we have construction on 3 of the 4 sides of our house right now. Love it. So if you hear construction, there's no time that they're not doing it. So here we are. Anyways, so this book is filled with a lot of just kind of random little bits of Celtic and really mostly Irish things, and then also her experiences. So I give this one a 3 out of 5 star. And again, my 3 is very wide ranging, but in this particular one, it was just okay. It's not like that bad, but it also wasn't like life-changing. I personally really didn't get that much from this book, and I don't know that a lot of people will. It's not like that bad to read through. It's just also really not that helpful in any direction. Like, you mostly read this book for her perspective on what Celtic witchcraft could be and what it is for her. But there's really not a whole lot of takeaways. It's not really in-depth any which direction. There's no like how to really do it for yourself. It's really just really randomly picked bits and bobs of information, and then her talking about random things. Like, it's cool, they have a crow that they have raised basically since it was a baby, and they're fun because they're cute little birds. They're not really little, but you know what I mean. But like, it's just random little stories here and there, which is fine, but it also just didn't really add anything. And like, as the author is talking, there's like this baseline assumption that you know these myths. Now, having been a dedicant to the Morrigan for so freaking long, like well over a decade, I'm fairly familiar with some of these things. But even then, there was a couple of the names that I was like, who is that? And like, I don't know, it has a baseline assumption that you know the players, you know? Like, you know who these deities are, the background stories, and like, again, I'm not raised in the UK. Here in the US, we are not taught these myths. We're taught Greek and Egyptian myths as like kids, and that's it. And so like, I don't know if in like England, because I think that's where she said she was from, specifically in England, if y'all are taught differently. If you are taught the like mythology of your land, maybe it's different. Maybe it's an assumption of like, yeah, of course you're gonna know these. But to us over here, we do not. And so I feel like you have to know a lot of the background stuff of like who the Morrigan is, and how the Morrigan is sometimes a title, but also sometimes it's multiple deities, and then sometimes it's one that shapeshifts into different types, and like, who is Lou? And like, she talked about his father, and I'm like, well, is it like the adopted father, or is it his bio father? I don't know that myth that well. And so there's just a lot of things like that where you need to have that background information. Same with the witchcraft side of it, you also need a background. So it's kind of like, by that point, why would you need this book? Because if you already need to have a background in what Celtic, and specifically Irish, things are, and a background in witchcraft, would you not have already thought how to combine the two? You know, it didn't really feel like it added anything. And so it's just more of reading it for her perspective, which is fine. But I feel like they could have just slightly changed the focus, maybe just a little bit. I don't know. It just didn't really add much to the conversation. It really wasn't that helpful. So I don't know that I would recommend it to beginners by any means. Like, really, I would recommend it if you have never considered combining the two, but you know of both. You know about witchcraft, or you know about Celtic mythology to like at least like an intermediate level. Like, again, you're gonna know the main players and like the background of stuff, because you're also gonna need to know like the Wheel of the Year and like how to be a witch. And I don't know, It feels like if you are like beginner to intermediate in both of these categories and you're like, ooh, I want to combine it, which, to be honest, we do all the time anyways, so I don't know why you would need this book. But if you need this book, that's who I guess it would be for. Or if you just want to read from another pagan author, that's fine. If you're just wanting to expand your horizons just to experience something, this is a good little intro to see how it would work out. Like, personally, I'd be a little more intrigued by having this for like modern Norse and not the chaos of that community. That'd be kind of cool to see it from a witchcraft base and then having the Norse gods, but not like DJ Conway, where it's just a Norse paint on Wicca, you know? A little bit more intense than that on the pagan side of things, but also not to the extreme that we usually have of the Reconstructionists who are like, but do you know which section from Snorri you're quoting that from? And you're like, I don't actually care. Like, I'm not here to have a PhD thesis, like, frickin' debate. Like, no, I don't actually care. And I don't think the gods actually care much either. But anyways, if there's a book like that, I would love it. But yeah, like, I don't know. If you're kind of intrigued by the topic, maybe this will be a good book for you. I mean, I wasn't like exactly bored with it, but also it's very much like, it's so brief that it doesn't really do anything any direction. So anyways, I would love to know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Oh, I did want to mention, yes, they do talk about the dog in here. In case you're curious, because we talked about that when I hauled this. Yeah, the dogs apparently from the underworld, the white is supposed to represent death, and the ears, and like the other world and things like that. This construction. Can you hear them ripping out everything? Everything. If my house falls into a hole, their fault. Because like, damn, they're taking away everything. I don't like the construction. But anyways, the white dog is supposed to represent the other world. The dead, the ancestors, the fae, all that jazz. And then the red ears is supposed to represent their connection to humanity and life in this side of the veil. So it said this book, kind of. Anyways, I think I'm done recording for today because they're like literally in my backyard. So that's just, we don't have a big yard either, by the way. We have a really small yard. So they're like, I could wave at them from my window and I hate it. And it's supposed to go till like winter. So I just don't love this at all. Because like, I need to be recorded. This is not to do with this book at all. But I've been needing to record the audiobook. Can't do that when I have this in the background. And maybe the camera isn't even picking it up. But let me tell you, in real life, they're so close that like, I can just hear them so much. Like, our backyard is shorter than our driveway. And they're like, literally like right there. I don't like this. Anyways, thank you for coming along. Thank you for my Patreon peeps. And maybe next time we won't be blessed with the construction in the background.